Good evening. Welcome to This Week in Turkey. The straining of relations between Ankara and Washington reached a new low this week as the White House announced that it has officially removed Turkey from the F-35 fighter jet program.
The White House said on Wednesday that Turkey can no longer be a part of the American F-35 fighter jet program, saying in a written statement that Turkey's decision to buy the Russian S-400 air defense system renders its continued involvement with the F-35 impossible. The White House did not say explicitly that Turkey will be removed from the F-35 program, but the Pentagon was expected to do so. Turkey has been a long-standing and trusted partner and NATO ally for over 65 years, but accepting the S-400 undermines the commitments all NATO allies made to each other to move away from Russian systems. This will have detrimental impacts on Turkish interoperability with the alliance, the statement said. In a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, President Trump expressed sympathy for Turkey, saying that his administration is working through it. Turkey called on the United States to correct its mistake of suspending the country from the F-35 fighter jet program, as it will cause irreparable wounds in strategic relations, the foreign ministry said on Wednesday. This unilateral step contradicts with the spirit of alliance and does not rely on any legitimate justification, the ministry said in a statement. It is unfair to remove Turkey, one of the main partners in the F-35 program, it said, adding claims that S-400 system will jeopardize sensitive information about F-35 technologies are baseless. The ministry highlighted that the United States must show the importance it attaches to Turkey's friendship, not just with rhetoric, but with action, especially in the fight against ISIL, the PKK, PYD, YPG, and FETÖ. It is of great importance to maintain the understanding reached at the meeting between President Erdogan and President Trump in Osaka, held in the margins of the G20 summit. We call upon the United States to return from this mistake that will cause irreparable wounds in our strategic relations, said the ministry. The delivery of S-400 components began last week and is ongoing with 14 shipments of related equipment so far, having landed in Turkey over the last 6 days. Turkish pilots and maintenance staff who were sent to the United States to train on the platform are being notified that they will have to leave the country by the end of the month. The process will be completed by the end of March 2020, the Pentagon's acquisition and procurement chief Ellen Lord told reporters in a major break with a key NATO ally. The US still values our strategic partnership with Turkey, Lord said. The Department of Defense and the US government more broadly have worked very hard to chart an alternative path that would enable Turkey to acquire air defense systems within NATO alliance standards for interoperability and still allow Turkey to remain within the F-35 partnership. Meanwhile, NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg said he was concerned over Turkey's expulsion. I'm concerned about the consequences of the Turkish decision because it means Turkey will not be part of the F-35 program, he said. Turkey's contribution to NATO runs much deeper and much broader than the F-35. That is important, said Stoltenberg, adding the international coalition in Syria could have defeated ISIL because of the contributions of Turkey.
Joining us from Washington, D.C. this evening to talk about the F-35/S-400 crisis between Ankara and Washington is Merve Tahiroğlu, who is a research associate at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Good evening, Merve. Good to have you here again.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So what was long expected has finally happened, and Washington has kicked Turkey out of its F-35 fighter jet program. But at the same time, we see a moderate tone coming from President Trump, which is leading to anticipations in Ankara regarding a possible exemption from the CAATSA, or the sanctions that are known as the CAATSA. What do you think is going on here, and how do you assess President Trump's handling of the crisis?
Right, so President Trump has been rather equivocal about his approach to this entire issue from the beginning, and this is one of the reasons why the Turkish side seems to be a bit confused as to where the president's powers lie and what Congress is actually demanding from Turkey and from President Trump on this. So we are seeing a bit of a reconciliatory approach coming from Trump, but he indicated before that he sympathizes with the Turkish position, or rather Erdogan's position, about buying the S-400 system from Russia. President Trump did make a few statements that Turkey was forced into this decision to buy it because of the negotiations with the U.S. About the Patriot system, which would be an alternative to the S-400s. But ultimately, what we're seeing this is that Trump did heed the advice of Congress and his own Defense and State Departments and suspended Turkey's participation in the F-35 program until now. And I think we're going to see a similar situation with CAATSA sanctions, which is a separate piece of legislation, is based on a separate set of principles. It's mainly about taking a punitive measure against Turkey for engaging in a significant transaction with the Russian defense sector. So this is why the president is expected to implement some of the sanctions that are available in the batch that the CAATSA legislation offers them. So Trump does have a few options. He could try to delay the decision by about 180 days. He could also decide to choose some of the more lenient of the options that are available to him in order to sort of placate Erdogan and try to salvage the relationship with Turkey. But it seems unlikely that Trump will be able to waive CAATSA sanctions altogether, which is what Erdogan and Ankara have been trying to get Trump to do. That's a difficult decision. That would be very difficult for President Trump to pull off. So I do think that we are going to see potentially more lenient sanctions, but we will see sanctions regarding Turkey.
Mm-hmm. So this was President Trump's side of the story. Let's now look at how President Erdogan is dealing with the crisis. He had suggested earlier on why Turkey was buying the Russian-made S-400 missile systems. He had said that the biggest threat to Turkey was in fact that which was from the West. Is this a rupture between Turkey and the West? Are we seeing the beginning of a rupture between Turkey and its traditional ally, the West? And is Turkey shifting its axis, in your opinion?
Well, in this sense, I mean, this is a continuation of Erdogan's kind of anti-American and anti-Western rhetoric, which we've really seen since the Gezi protests of 2013. But it has been, he has ramped it up much higher, and anti-Americanism in Turkey has grown accordingly significantly higher since the failed coup attempt of 2016. We remember that Erdogan was targeted during that coup attempt with Western planes, specifically the F-16s, and since then Erdogan has been telling the Turkish media and the world that the biggest threats to his and to Turkey's national security emanate from the West. I do think this is a bit of a misleading statement, although there are many important policy disagreements between Turkey and the United States with regards to Syria and Americans working with a group like YPG, which Turkey considers a terrorist organization and it's a massive security threat. I think it would be far-fetched to actually argue that the West poses the biggest national security threat to Turkey, and Turkey's traditional security establishment would more likely see Russia as a bigger strategic threat to Turkey, in fact. So Erdogan has, in fact, tried to change Turkey's course. He has moved Turkey away from the transatlantic alliance, both in terms of its values and norms. When we look at what Erdogan did to Turkish democracy at home, and also in terms of relationships with its Western neighbors, and it includes the Turkish aggression that we're seeing in the Eastern Mediterranean against Greece and Cyprus as well. In that sense, he has taken Turkey in a different direction. Some people in Washington do the S-400s as a major rupture and as a turning point. But there are also others that are trying to salvage the relationship. We're also seeing statements coming out of NATO trying to be conciliatory in light of Turkey's suspension F-35 program. So there are many people in the transatlantic alliance that values Turkey's membership in it and would like to preserve that, but there are also many people here in Washington who worry it might be too late.
Mm-hmm. And where do the two allies go from here, in your opinion? What's ahead for Turkey-US relations?
Well, we will have to see. A couple of important developments, I think, will determine that. Syria is one front where Turkey and the U.S. have been for months, in fact years, and have been discussing a potential safe zone to be created, whereby Turkey would be the borders of the safe zone. And it's something that Turkey has been requesting for years. So we see what happens with the developments on that front. And I do think that are part of the ongoing negotiations between Erdogan and Trump when they talk about issues like the F-400 and the cat sanctions and the F-35 program. So there are certain things the United States can do. There are certain things it can't. So when the sanctions come for Gaza, for example, it's not going to look good, but this is also a reality that Turkey has to face. There are other things that Trump could offer Erdogan, that they could have a more conciliatory, try to cooperate on the Eastern Mediterranean, when again there's a major dispute between Turkey and the brewing alliance, energy alliance there between countries like Greece, Cyprus, Egypt, Israel. So can play a role in trying to bring Turkey into its fold, although that seems very unlikely given the Turkish poor posture again in this region right now, and continuing to explore and conduct exploration activities in Cyprus's claimed EEZ, for example. But these are issues that Turkey has with the West, in which the United States can try to play a positive role. Turkey is also going through a bad almost financial crisis, but when it does hit, it looks like it's going to be really bad. And here too, given Turkey's highly dependent economic relationship with the European Union and the West in general, again, the United States can play an important role in helping the Turkish economy recover from the imminent crisis when it does hit. So I think there are opportunities that we can be looking at, but for that we will have to see a major change in Turkish foreign policy, especially regarding Erdogan's attitude towards America and the West in general. And I'm not sure if we can expect that anytime soon, but that would certainly help matters as well.
Thank you very much, Merve, for joining us tonight and for your comments.
Thanks again for having me.
This evening, we were joined by Merve Tahiroğlu from FDD, who commented on the crisis that's erupted between Ankara and Washington following Washington's removal of Turkey from its F-35 fighter jet program. And now we'll continue with our next news video. Turkey will send a fourth ship to the Eastern Mediterranean as part of its hydrocarbon drilling activities, despite a decision by the European Council to impose sanctions on Ankara.
At a press conference, Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu told reporters that the European Union had to take these valueless decisions just to satisfy Greek Cypriots, recalling the Council's decision to suspend.
4 important trials resumed this week, with a court ruling to continue the pre-trial detention of Osman Kavala and another court ruling for the continuation of the arrest of Selahattin Demirtas, the former co-chair of the pro-Kurdish People's Democratic Party, HDP.
The second hearing of the case against 16 people for organizing the 2013 Gezi Park protests was held at Istanbul 30th Heavy Penal Court in Silivri district yesterday. The court ruled by a majority vote to continue the pre-trial detention of Osman Kavala, a prominent businessman and philanthropist accused of planning nationwide protests in a bid to overthrow Turkey's government. Kavala has already spent over 600 days in prison in the landmark trial, which accuses Kavala and 15 other leading civil society figures of attempting to topple the Justice and Development Party AKP government in the 2013 Gezi Park protests. The Turkish philanthropist is the only defendant behind bars since his co-defendant, activist Yiğit Aksakoğlu, was released on probation during the last hearing in June. Meanwhile, in its opinion on the Cumhuriyet trial, the prosecutor's office of the Turkish Appeals Court said that 12 of the trial's defendants should be acquitted. Some 15 members of the former staff of the opposition Cumhuriyet newspaper were handed long prison sentences in April 2018, with the prosecutors claiming that the newspaper had aided the PKK and Gülen movement. Also on Thursday, the head of the main opposition CHP's Istanbul branch, Canan Kaftancıoğlu, appeared in court again to resume a trial described by her defenders as revenge for the opposition's success in Istanbul. Kaftancıoğlu is accused of insulting President Erdogan and the Turkish state in tweets posted between 2012 and 2017, as well as spreading terror propaganda for the PKK. She was a key figure in the success of Ekrem İmamoğlu, who was elected mayor of Istanbul last month in a rerun of the vote after winning the first time in March. During the hearing, the prosecutor demanded up to 17 years in jail for Kaftancıoğlu. This trial is intended to punish me for having fought to give Istanbul back to the people, Kaftancıoğlu told reporters after the hearing. I will not back down. I will keep fighting, Kaftancıoğlu said. On Wednesday, another court ruled for the continuation of arrest for Selahattin Demirtas, the former co-chair of the pro-Kurdish People's Democratic Party, HDP, until his next hearing in September. Demirtas has been in prison since 2016 and is accused of spreading propaganda for the PKK, among other terrorism charges. Demirtas attended the hearing via sekmesi, a court-to-prison teleconferencing system, during which time he called Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan and the ruling Justice and Development Party AKP the real criminals for suspending Turkey's constitution. Those who rule Turkey are committing the biggest crime. The constitution is currently suspended, Demirtas said. They did not say which of my remarks exactly constitute the crime of making terrorist propaganda. I guess we'll have to guess, Demirtas added.
Turkey marked the Democracy and National Unity Day on July 15th with events honoring those who lost their lives fighting coup plotters in the July 15th, 2016 coup attempt.
As part of the series of ceremonies, President Recep Tayyip Erdoğan first met with veterans and the relatives of martyrs, speaking with them in front of the presidency. Erdoğan laid flowers at the martyrs' monuments and prayed for those who lost their lives during the coup attempt. The president then attended a special session held in the parliament, which brought lawmakers together for the commemoration of the coup attempt. In Istanbul, an Islamic memorial service was delivered at the Great Mosque of Çamlıca for those that lost their lives. FETÖ and its US-based leader Fethullah Gülen are blamed for the defeated coup, which left 251 people killed and nearly 2,200 injured. Ankara accuses FETÖ of being behind a long-running campaign to overthrow the state through infiltrations of Turkish institutions, particularly the military, police, and the judiciary. Later in the day, President Erdoğan flew to Istanbul to address the public at Atatürk Airport, and afterwards an opening ceremony for the July 15th Memorial Museum at the former Bosphorus Bridge, now called the July 15th Martyrs Bridge. On the night of July 15th, they wanted to bury Turkey into darkness, but failed. Erdoğan said at Atatürk Airport, "I salute every member of our heroic nation who stood against planes, tanks, and bullets to protect the independence of our nation and the future of our country on July 15th, he said. No one, no network of traitors, and no terrorist organization will be able to disrupt the unity, solidarity, or the brotherhood of the Turkish nation, Erdoğan vowed. During the ceremony at Atatürk Airport, main opposition Republican People's Party CHP leader Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu was booed by crowds in the middle of the speech by President Erdoğan.
Medyascope reporters Fatima Çelik and Ibrahim Yayan prepared a video report this week on the lives and opinions of Syrian immigrants living in Istanbul.
قتل بدون يعني سبب، الإنسان بيموت ما حد بيعرف ليش شو السبب.
ليش ما حاربنا؟ يعني هلا لما بيكون العدو مثلا ظاهر ومعروف مين هو، يعني نحن اكيد نحن رح نحارب مثلا، رح نحارب ورح نحمي وطننا ورح ندافع عن وطننا، بس انه الشيء اللي صار انه يعني صارت سوريا مثلا انه صارت ساحه مثلا للدول انه الاقليميه والدول الكبيره بدي احارب، فانه مين بدي احارب انا مالي عارفان، انا عدوي ما بعرفه لحتى احارب.
كيف بدكم هدول السوريين ايه بدهم يطلعوا بدهم يهربوا؟ نحن تأخرنا كتير لطلعنا. نحن بقينا حوالي 4 سنوات أو 3 سنوات وعم نقاوم وصابرين وساكتين. رح تخلص إلى أن اشترك العالم كله في قتلنا.
Sabır. Ondan sonra da gereği neyse bunu yaparız. Herhalde otobüsler boşuna durmuyor. Uçaklar boşuna durmuyor.
İşsizler. Niye? Kayıt dışı çalışan mültecilerden dolayı.
يعني للأسف أنا لاحظت إنه بالانتخابات التركية الطرفين الحزبين اللي أكبر شيء بتركيا الحزب الأكبرتي والحزب الثاني جي بي فأخذوا السوريين للأسف كسلعة تجارية مشان يحققوا أرباح سياسية بينات بعضهم.
أننا في اليوم الانتخابات لم نجرؤ على الخروج من بيوتنا.
على حياتي أنا وأولادي برجع الصبح أنا ماني مبسوط عدم مؤاخذة تركيا وماني قاعد هون سياحة، بالعكس أنا كمحامي أو أي واحد سوري بيقدر يلاقي فرصة عمل ويعيش حياة سعيدة وكويسة.
وجدنا في هذه الأرض مكانا آمنا لنا، لكن سنعود. أجزم وأقسم أننا سنعود.
That's all from This Week in Turkey. Thanks for tuning in and hope to see you again next Friday at 9 p.m. Goodbye.